I was just helping her. But aliens took it the wrong way. The morning sun cast long shadows across the desert landscape as Jake Thompson made his way through the rocky terrain. He was a simple mechanic from the small town of Redwater. But today, his curiosity had gotten the better of him. The strange lights he'd seen crashing into the desert the night before had kept him awake, and now he found himself hiking toward what looked like twisted metal gleaming in the distance as Jake approached. His breath caught in his throat. This wasn't some crashed airplane or military drone. The craft was unlike anything he'd ever seen, its surface smooth and silver, covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and change in the sunlight. Steam rose from various openings, and a low humming sound filled the air. "Hello?" Jake called out, his voice echoing off the surrounding rocks. "Is anyone in there?" A weak groan answered him from inside the craft. Without hesitation, Jake began searching for an entrance. He found what looked like a door panel, but it was sealed tight. Using his years of experience with stubborn machinery, he began working at the edges with his multi-tool. After 20 minutes of careful prying, the panel finally gave way with a soft hiss. Jake peered inside and gasped. The interior was filled with a soft blue light, and lying on what appeared to be a medical table was a figure unlike anything he'd ever imagined. She was humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin had a pale blue tint, and her hair was silver white, flowing like liquid mercury. Her eyes, when they fluttered open, were a deep violet that seemed to hold the depth of space itself. She wore a form-fitting suit that appeared to be made of some kind of living material. "Please," she whispered in accented English, her voice melodic despite her obvious pain. "Help me." Jake didn't hesitate. He could see she was injured, with what looked like burns along her left arm, and a gash on her forehead that leaked luminescent. "Fluid on Jake," he said, climbing into the craft. "I'm going to help you, okay?" The alien woman nodded weakly. "I am Zara of the Catherian Republic. My ship was attacked by raiders from the Vorthan Empire. I managed to escape, but my navigation systems failed." Jake examined her injuries with the careful attention he usually reserved for complex engine. "Problems. These burns look serious. I have a first aid kit in my truck, but I don't know if human medicine will work on you." "Your people's healing methods are crude but effective," Zara said with a weak smile. "I have heard stories of human resilience and ingenuity. Please, I trust you." As Jake worked to clean and bandage her wounds, Zara explained her situation. She was a diplomatic courier carrying important peace treaties between allied worlds. The Vorthan Empire had been expanding aggressively, and these documents contained evidence of their war crimes and invasion plans. "If I don't deliver these to the Galactic Council," Zara said, wincing as Jake applied antiseptic to her burns, "millions of innocent beings will die in the coming war." Jake looked at the data crystal she showed him, no bigger than his thumb, but apparently containing information that could save entire civilizations. "How long do you have?" "The council meeting is in 3 days, but my ship is damaged beyond repair, and I have no way to contact my people without alerting the Vorthans to my location." Jake stood up, his mind already working through possibilities. "Then we'll have to figure something else out. I may just be a mechanic, but I've never met a machine I couldn't fix or a problem I couldn't solve." Zara looked at him with wonder. "You would risk your life for a stranger? For people you've never met?" "That's what humans do," Jake said simply. "We help each other, and right now you need help." As Jake helped Zara out of the damaged craft, neither of them noticed the small tracking device that had been embedded in the ship's hull, quietly transmitting their location to the Vorthan warships already entering Earth's solar system. Jake's garage had seen better days, but it was home to some of the most advanced jury-rigged equipment in 3 counties. As he helped Zara inside, She marveled at the organized chaos of human ingenuity. Tools that shouldn't work together were welded into functioning devices, and spare parts from dozens of different machines created entirely new inventions. "Your people are remarkable," Zara said, settling onto a makeshift medical cot Jake had assembled. "You take broken things and make them better than they were originally." "It's a gift," Jake replied, checking her bandages. "My dad always said if you can't fix it, you're not being creative enough." Over the next several hours, Jake worked to stabilize Zara's condition, while she shared more about the galactic situation. The Vorthan Empire had been systematically conquering peaceful worlds, enslaving populations, and stripping planets of their resources. The data crystal contained proof of their atrocities and their next targets. "Earth isn't even on their radar yet," Zara explained. "Your world is considered too primitive to be worth their attention. But that won't last long." Jake paused in his work. "So helping you could put my entire planet at risk?" "Yes," Zara said honestly. "If the Vorthans discover you've aided me, they will mark Earth for destruction." Jake was quiet for a long moment, then resumed bandaging her wounds. "Then we better make sure they don't catch us." That evening, as Jake prepared a simple meal from his camping supplies, the first sign of trouble appeared. A formation of sleek, dark ships descended from the clouds, their hulls gleaming with an oily iridescence. They moved with predatory grace, scanning the desert with beams of red light. "Vorthan hunters," Zara whispered, her violet eyes wide with fear. "They found my ship." Jake watched through his garage window as the alien vessels systematically searched the crash site. Their technology was clearly superior to anything humanity possessed, but Jake noticed something important. "They're searching in a grid pattern," he observed. "Very methodical, very predictable." "How does that help us?" Zara asked. "Predictable means we can stay ahead of them." Jake was already moving, gathering supplies and equipment. "My grandfather fought in 3 wars, and he always said the best way to beat a superior enemy is to be where they don't expect you to be." As the Vorthan ships expanded their search pattern, Jake loaded his most beat-up pickup truck with everything they might need. The vehicle looked like it should have been scrapped years ago, but under the hood was an engine Jake had been tinkering with for years, capable of performance that would surprise anyone. "We need to get to the city," Jake explained as they drove away from his garage. "More people means more places to hide, and I have friends who can help." "You're willing to endanger your friends for me?" Zara asked. "I'm willing to do whatever it takes to stop a bunch of alien bullies from hurting innocent people," Jake replied. "That's what humans do when we're cornered. We fight back." As they drove through the night, Zara began to understand something about humans that the galactic community had missed. They weren't just primitive beings clinging to a backwater world. They were survivors, innovators, and fighters who refused to give up when faced with impossible odds. "Your species," Zara said quietly. "You're not like the others in the galaxy. Most races, when faced with superior force, either submit or hide. But you ... we get creative." Jake finished. "My mom used to say that humans are like weeds. The more you try to get rid of us, the stronger we grow back." Behind them, the Vorthan ships had found Jake's garage and were systematically tearing it apart. But Jake was already 3 steps ahead, heading toward allies who would help him turn a simple rescue mission into something the Vorthan Empire would never forget. The hunt was on, but the hunters were about to learn that they weren't dealing with typical prey. They were about to face humanity's greatest strength, the absolute refusal to give up when protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. The abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Phoenix looked like any other derelict building, but Jake knew better. This was where his old army buddy, Rick Martinez, had set up his legitimate salvage operation after returning from overseas. As Jake's truck pulled into the loading dock, Rick emerged from the shadows with a grin and a rifle. "Jake Thompson, you magnificent bastard," Rick called out. "What kind of trouble are you bringing to my doorstep this time?" "The kind that might save the galaxy," Jake replied, helping Zara out of the truck. Rick's jaw dropped when he saw her. "Okay, that's not what I was expecting. She's an alien diplomat being hunted by space fascists," Jake finished. "Rick, meet Zara. Zara, meet Rick. He's the guy who taught me that sometimes the best solutions come from the worst ideas." Within an hour, Jake had explained the situation to Rick and his team of former military engineers. To their credit, they took the news of an impending alien invasion with the same calm professionalism they'd shown when defusing roadside bombs in Afghanistan. "So let me get this straight," said Monica Harris, Rick's electronics specialist. "We need to get your alien friend to some kind of Space Council meeting, but the bad guys have ships that can fly through space, and we've got pickup trucks and attitude." "That's about the size of it," Jake confirmed. "I love a challenge," Monica grinned. "What do we have to work with?" Zara activated her data crystal, projecting a holographic map of the local star system. "The Galactic Council maintains a monitoring station on your moon. If we can reach it, I can transmit the evidence and call for help." "The moon," Rick repeated flatly. "You want us to get to the moon?" "NASA's working on it," Jake said. "But their next launch isn't for 6 months. Then we build our own," announced Tommy Chun, Rick's propulsion expert. "I've been working on some hybrid rocket designs. Nothing that could carry people, but maybe ... Maybe what?" Zara asked. "Maybe we don't need to carry people," Jake said, understanding dawning. "We just need to carry the data." Over the next 18 hours, while Vorthan hunters systematically searched the city, Jake's team worked with desperate ingenuity. They stripped parts from cars, motorcycles, and industrial equipment, creating a makeshift rocket that looked like it had been designed by someone with a death wish and a genius-level IQ. "The guidance system is basically a GPS unit duct-taped to a gyroscope," Monica explained. "The fuel mixture is half military surplus and half energy drinks. The payload compartment is a modified smartphone that can broadcast on frequencies the alien station can receive." "It's beautiful," Zara said, and she meant it. The rocket was a testament to human creativity, ugly and functional, and absolutely impossible according to every engineering textbook ever written. "Will it work?" Jake asked. "Probably not," Rick admitted. "But probably not is better odds than we had yesterday." As they prepared for launch, Zara made a discovery that changed everything. While helping Monica with the communications array, she'd learned something remarkable about human technology. "Your quantum processors," she said to Jake. "They're not just crude computers. They're compatible with our systems, but they process information differently. Faster in some ways, more creatively." "What does that mean?" "It means the data crystal isn't just storing information anymore. It's been analyzing it, finding patterns and connections that even our best minds missed. Jake, this isn't just evidence of Vorthan crimes. This is a complete strategic analysis of their entire empire." Jake looked at the crystal with new respect. "So we're not just delivering a message. We're delivering a weapon. The most powerful weapon in the galaxy," Zara confirmed. "Information." As the Vorthan ships closed in on their location, Jake's team made final preparations for launch. They had one shot to get the data to the lunar station, and if they failed, not only would millions of innocent beings die, but Earth itself would be marked for destruction. "You know," Rick said as they wheeled the rocket to the launch pad, "when I got up this morning, I thought today was going to be boring." "Never boring around Jake," Monica laughed. "Remember that time he fixed my car with a coat hanger and a prayer?" "This is just like that," Jake said, "except instead of getting Monica to work on time, We're saving the galaxy. No pressure, Tommy. Added dot as the countdown began, Jake realized that this was what humans did best. When faced with impossible odds and limited resources, they didn't give up. They got creative. They worked together, and they found a way to turn their weaknesses into strengths. The Vorthan Empire was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous opponent is the one who doesn't know they're supposed to lose. The Vorthan ships had found them. As Jake's makeshift rocket sat on its improvised launch pad, 6 sleek hunter vessels descended from the clouds, their weapons charging with an ominous whine. The aliens had clearly expected to find a primitive species cowering in fear, but instead they found humans doing what humans did best, refusing to give up. "Launch window is in 60 seconds, Tommy announced, his hands flying over the control board he'd assembled from spare parts and sheer determination. "After that, we'll have to wait for the moon to realign, and I don't think our new friends up there are going to give us that long." Jake looked at Zara, who was making final adjustments to the data crystal. Her violet eyes were bright with something that might have been hope. "This is insane," she said. "In all my years of diplomatic service, I've never seen anything like this." "Welcome to humanity," Rick said, checking his rifle. "We specialize in the impossible." The lead Vorthan ship broadcast a message in perfect English. "Humans of Earth, you harbor a criminal wanted by the Vorthan Empire. Surrender her immediately, and your deaths will be quick." Jake keyed the radio microphone. "This is Jake Thompson, and I've got a message for the Vorthan Empire. Go pound sand." The aliens' response was immediate. Energy beams lanced down from their ships, turning the surrounding desert into glass. But Jake had positioned their launch site in a natural depression, using the terrain to provide cover. 30 seconds to launch," Tommy called out. Monica's communications array crackled to life. "Jake, I'm picking up more contacts. Looks like half the Vorthan fleet is heading this way." "How many ships?" 57 and counting." Rick whistled. "Low. That's a lot of angry aliens." "It's a compliment," Jake said. "They're bringing everything they have because they're scared of what we might accomplish." 15 seconds, Tommy announced. Zara grabbed Jake's hand. "If this doesn't work, I want you to know that meeting you has changed how I see your species. You're not primitive at all. You're remarkable." 10 seconds, Tommy called. 5.4, 3.2.1. "Launch!" The rocket lifted off in a pillar of flame and smoke that would have made NASA proud. It was ungainly, jury-rigged, and absolutely should not have worked according to any engineering manual ever written. But it flew, climbing toward the sky with the determination of its creators. The Vorthan ships immediately targeted the rocket, but Jake's team had planned for this. As energy beams tracked the ascending vehicle, Rick and his team opened fire. With everything they had, modified hunting rifles, improvised explosives, and even a few illegal military souvenirs lit up the night sky. "They're not just shooting at us," Monica observed, watching her screens. "They're confused. They can't figure out why we're attacking them when we're clearly outgunned." "Because they don't understand humans," Jake said, watching the rocket climb higher. "They think we're being stupid. They don't realize we're being brave." The rocket reached the upper atmosphere, its improvised guidance system somehow keeping it on course. But the Vorthan ships were closing in, their weapons fully charged. "Jake," Zara said quietly, "there's something I need to tell you. The data crystal doesn't just contain evidence of Vorthan crimes. It contains something else." "What?" "A complete scan of human technological development. When I crashed here, my ship automatically began analyzing your civilization. What it found was unprecedented." Jake looked at her. "Unprecedented how?" "Your species develops technology differently than any other race in the galaxy. You don't follow logical progression. You make intuitive leaps, create solutions that shouldn't work but do. The crystal contains templates for human-designed improvements to galactic technology. So we're not just delivering evidence, Jake realized. We're delivering a revolution. The Council will see that humanity isn't just another primitive species to be protected. You're a potential ally with capabilities they've never encountered. The rocket disappeared into the darkness above, carrying with it the hope of both their worlds. But the Vorthan ships were already moving to intercept it. Their faster-than-light engines charging for a pursuit into space. They're going after the rocket, Rick observed. Good, Jake said. That means they're not focusing on us. What do you mean? Jake smiled, the expression of a man who had just realized he was holding a winning hand. I mean, it's time for Phase 2 of the plan. We have a Phase 2? Monica asked. We do now, Jake said. Zara, how long can those ships stay in our atmosphere? Not long. Their engines aren't designed for extended atmospheric flight. They need to return to space to recharge. Then we're going to make sure they don't get the chance. As the Vorthan ships climbed toward space in pursuit of the rocket, Jake's team prepared for the next phase of their impossible mission. They had successfully launched their message to the stars, but now they had to survive long enough to see if anyone was listening. The real fight was just beginning. The lunar monitoring station had been silent for decades, a forgotten relic of the Galactic Council's early expansion. But as Jake's improvised rocket approached the moon's surface, ancient systems began to activate. The data crystal signal was strong, carrying not just evidence of Vorthan atrocities, but proof that humanity possessed something the galaxy had never seen before, the ability to create miracles from desperation. Back on Earth, Jake and his team took shelter in the abandoned warehouse as Vorthan ships scoured the desert. The aliens were becoming increasingly agitated, their search patterns more erratic. They had never encountered a species that fought back with such creative determination. Why haven't they just blown up the whole area? Rick asked, cleaning his rifle for the third time. Because they need Zara alive, Jake replied. And they're starting to realize that humans don't follow their playbook. Zara was monitoring the lunar station's response on Monica's improvised communications array. The signal is being received, she announced. The station is transmitting to the council chambers. How long before we get a response? If the council acts immediately, perhaps 6 hours. If they debate, as they usually do, it could be days. Tommy looked out the window at the Vorthan ships hovering in the distance. I don't think we have days. That's when everything changed. The first sign was a subtle shift in the alien ship's behavior. Instead of continuing their search, they began clustering together, their weapons powering down. Then Monica's radio crackled with an incoming transmission. This is Council Fleet Admiral Corvash to all Vorthan vessels in the Sol system. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. Jake grabbed the microphone. This is Jake Thompson. Did you say Council Fleet? Human Jake Thompson, your transmission has been received and analyzed by the Galactic Council. We are dispatching a full diplomatic convoy to your location. The evidence you provided has initiated immediate war crimes proceedings against the Vorthan Empire. Through the warehouse windows, they could see the Vorthan ships beginning to retreat, but their movement was sluggish, reluctant. They're not going to give up easily, Zara observed. The Vorthans don't accept it gracefully. She was right. As the alien hunters began to withdraw, their leader made one final desperate move. The largest ship broke formation and dove toward the warehouse, its weapons charging for a final attack. They're going to try to eliminate the evidence, Rick said, raising his rifle. No, Jake said, stepping outside. They're going to try to eliminate the witnesses. The Vorthan ship's weapons locked onto Jake as he stood in the open doorway. But before they could fire, something extraordinary happened. The sky above erupted in light as dozens of ships dropped out of hyperspace. Council vessels, gleaming white and silver, surrounded the Vorthan hunters with overwhelming force. Vorthan vessel. Admiral Kovash's voice boomed across all frequencies. You are in violation of Galactic Treaty 847. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. The lead Vorthan ship hesitated, its weapons still trained on Jake. In that moment, Jake did something that would be talked about in council chambers for generations. He walked forward, directly into the alien's targeting sight. You want to shoot. Me? Jake called out, his voice carrying across the desert. Go ahead, but you should know that every human on this planet has heard what you've done to innocent people across the galaxy. And humans have a saying, we don't forget, and we don't forgive. The Vorthan ship's weapons wavered. You came to Earth thinking you'd find primitives who would cower before your superior technology. Jake continued. Instead, you found people who will jury-rig a rocket from spare parts and shoot for the moon because it's the right thing to do. You found people who will stand up to bullies, no matter how big they are. The warehouse door opened, and Rick, Monica, Tommy, and Zara stepped out to stand beside Jake. They were joined by curious townspeople who had heard the commotion, then by others who had seen the news reports. Within minutes, hundreds of humans stood in the desert, facing down an alien warship with nothing but courage and solidarity. This is what humanity is, Jake said, his voice carrying to every ship in the system. We're not the most advanced species in the galaxy. We're not the strongest or the fastest. But we're the ones who will build rockets from scrap metal and launch them at the moon because someone needs help. The Vorthan ship's weapons powered down. Admiral Korvash's voice filled the air again. Jake Thompson of Earth, by order of this Galactic Council, you and your team are hereby granted full diplomatic immunity and are invited to address the Council regarding humanity's application for membership in the Galactic Republic. Jake looked at Zara, who was crying tears of joy. Membership. The data crystal didn't just contain evidence of Vorthan crimes, she explained. It contained a complete analysis of human potential. The Council has never seen anything like your species combination of creativity, determination, and compassion. So, what happens now? Rick asked. Now, Admiral Korvash said, his ship descending to land in the desert, we begin the most important alliance in galactic history. Humanity has shown that even the most impossible problems can be solved with enough creativity and courage. As Jake watched the Council ships land and the Vorthan hunters retreat into hyperspace, he realized that helping one crashed alien had changed everything. Not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. You know what this means? He said to his team. What? Monica asked. We're going to need a bigger garage. The laughter that followed could be heard across 3 star systems, and it was the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure. The end.